Bonjiva Corja. Hi, everybody. Eimear Burke here, and welcome to another Fireside Chat. And this is Fireside Chat 200. But as is customary, I will start with a prayer for peace. Gomara Siacon a fud na crinne. Gomara Siacon in our jaili agus in our jirha. Ganairi lin lenarcuj garmaka. Gamwich buicus chief. Jeh chivdaka, spirit chivdaka. May peace prevail on earth. May peace prevail in our homes and in our countries. May our missions be accomplished. We thank you, guardian spirits and guardian deities, for peace. As the fever of day calms towards twilight, may all that is strained in us come to ease. We pray for all who suffered violence today. May an unexpected serenity surprise them. For those who risk their lives each day for peace, may their hearts glimpse providence at the heart of history. That those who make riches from violence and war might hear in their dreams the cries of the lost. That we might see through our fear of each other a new vision to heal our fatal attraction to aggression. That those who enjoy the privilege of peace might not forget their tormented brothers and sisters. That the wolf might lie down with the lamb, that our swords be beaten into ploughshares, and no hurt or harm be done anywhere along the holy mountain, with thanks to John O'Donoghue. So you're all very, very welcome, and never thought we'd get to Fireside Chat 200, but we're here nonetheless, and it's lovely to have you here. And we changed our clocks last Sunday, so I hope everything's okay. I see Lloyd is 1 hour earlier from New Zealand. Well done. Carla from Italy, Minnesota, where are other people from? Hertfordshire, Berlin, lovely. The sun has been shining today and the blossom is finally emerging. Well, it's been lovely. We had a pale blue sky today and sunshine. It was lovely to see it. Hello from Boston. Lovely. Where are the people from? Glamorgan, South Wales. Richmond, Virginia. Calgary. From a snowed-in Calgary. Oh, bless you, Sean. I think it's always snowing in Calgary, except maybe in the summer months. But just lovely to see you all. And County Louth, thanks for Stephen, from the anniversary greetings. That's lovely. Nova Scotia, lovely. Finally, okay. Oh, the crocuses are out in Nova Scotia. Yeah, we still have daffodils here, and the lesser celandines and dandelions, of course, and the little hazel flowers and the beautiful flowers from the alder tree. I've seen them for the first time in my garden. The female flowers are a little bit bigger than the hazel ones, still very small. And then you have the male catkins. Absolutely beautiful. East Sussex, from the Netherlands. Lovely. Newcastle upon Tyne. Beautiful. Pacific Northwest. Lovely. Sussex. So wonderful to see you all. Anyway, we are going to Ireland today, to the southeast. So East Sussex, southeast of Ireland. And I'd like to welcome my guest today is Nolene Watson. Nolene, you are so welcome to this Fireside Chat.
And it's lovely to be here. Thanks so much, Eimear. Thanks for asking me to be here.
Brilliant. So you're going to tell us about where you are, but you're not native of there because we know you're a dub. But just tell us about where you live and what your landscape is like.
So where I live now is in Carnew in Wicklow.
You're Wicklow, not Wexford. Okay.
Yeah, Wicklow. Well, right on the border, Wicklow, Wexford. And it's a small little town. Actually, there's one sort of big long road in it. And but where I am is in a little cul-de-sac at the back of the town, so it's lovely. But as you know, I'm originally from Dublin. And so I was born and reared up in Dublin. I started in Knockgrove in Churchtown, Rathfarnham, and then moved out to Dunleary. So was blessed to be out near the sea every day of the week. So I loved it out there, actually. Yeah.
How did you manage to transition from city life to country life?
Oh, very easy, because as children, we were always brought down to, my mum always had a mobile home since we were 15 or 16, I think, maybe even younger. And we were always brought down to Cummuckridge. That was her piece of heaven.
Cummuckridge is lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was her little oasis. So we were quite used to, to me, Wexford was always in our hearts. and probably most Dublin people actually. And then I couldn't get a house in Wexford because the price of the houses had gone too high. And then I was told about a house in Carnew, and we came to have a look at it here. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So describe what's the landscape like there,
It's a mix, actually. It's a mix between rural. It would be a rural town, and there wouldn't be huge amount of infrastructure now. I think there's like a bus that goes twice a day into the main town, which would be Gorey. But for me, it's very local because you're 40 minutes from Carlow, well, an hour and 20 minutes from Dublin. But the nicest of roads driving up to Dublin now on a sunny day now, not on a foggy day or an icy day. And then you're 15 minutes from Gorey, like so. And then right beside me is the most beautiful wood. I'm sure you know it, Eimear, Tomnafin wood. So
I don't actually.
Yeah.
So tell us about that wood. That's the kind of landscape I'm looking for.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful old wood, and there's actually, so it connects Morris Carnew into Shalala, and there's a railway walk. So there's a couple of walks, depending even on your fitness, and but it hosts some of the oldest oak trees in Ireland. So it's and then right beside it, they're building, or they're planting, replanting more native Irish trees.
What's it called again?
Tomnafin oak wood.
I know. I've actually donated money for the trees. Yeah. Okay, yes, that's.
So that's now like that's where I love there now, and there's a bit of everything in. Like you have a little river, and you have a lovely, and in autumn, oh my God, the colors, the ground turns to like the most colorful carpet you'll ever see in your life. It's fantastic. Yeah,
brilliant. Fantastic. It's just interesting that some of the oldest oak trees are in that forest. That's great. Lovely to hear that. And obviously the newest as well, if they're planting again.
If they're planting,
yeah. So tell us about your background and I suppose your journey from wherever to where you are now.
Yeah, so I was, if somebody had asked me like 16 years ago, I'd be doing what I'm doing now, I would have told them they were absolutely cracked and nuts and whatever. But yeah, I've been on a great journey. I had a big life change in 2009. Had a couple of things happen to me, and I fell off a ladder and hurt me back. I got a chance to go to New York, and on the way home from New York, I got swine flu. And then I ended up falling down the stairs and stood in a little kitten and fell down the stairs. And that was the biggest. So I often think the universe helps you make big life changes. So it certainly helped me make the biggest life changes ever. Now the kitten did survive. Now I will just say that, so the cat was still there. And but yeah, so I ended up then. I had to come out of work. So in another lifetime, I was working in Woody's, which I loved. And
which is a hardware shop.
Which is a hardware shop, and I would have worked in their cash office and on the floor. So it's a great way of meeting people. But then I had just come to a place where I know it's hard to believe, I had no confidence and no voice. Absolutely none. So I came out of like a domestic violent marriage, and anyway, we that was grand. And then I got a chance to do a personal development class in Ballybrack, in the kids' school. And I only went to it because I felt indebted to the school because they helped me financially with the kids. So that was the only reason why I had done it. But that brought me to different things, because as I was doing each personal development or conflict resolution or all, I got a chance to do graphic design. So I trained for 4 years as a graphic designer. And one of the courses, they actually paid me to actually go to class. Like who does that? And as well as doing that, then I suppose I found, I don't know whether you'd call it calling. I don't know what you'd call it. But anyway, different people would arrive into my life to teach me. And I learned on both sides. So here I had one side was like nearly like academic, but creative academic. And on the other side was all the healing. And it just all came together then in 2015. I got divorced. I was happy out with my life. I finished college. I thought I was going to get the dream of my life, but I didn't. And the following year, then I started to write poems. I'd been writing little sort of short stories. And then I put together, because I had the skills of design, I could put together the book. But I had I didn't have the money to get the book published. And so I went to see a career coach, and she said to me, oh, maybe somebody could sponsor you. And I said, oh, well, I don't know people with money like that, and but then I was learning spiritual healing at the time, and in part of that group, a man in that group came up and handed me a check for €1,000 to get the book published. So that's how I started with the first book. And then ever since then, I've hundreds. I've written hundreds of poems. I'm still uncovering like gifts that I didn't even realize that I had. So
wow. That is so beautiful. So Sean says, oh, there's a bumper sticker he's seen. Oh no, not another learning experience. And then Morgan says, what a wild sequence of nudges from the universe. So everything happened in 2009.
In 2009, yeah.
And then did you separate from your husband then and then get your divorce in 2015? Because you had to wait.
Yeah. So, well, it was quite, because we both still had to stay in the same house because that was just the way it was. And it was very dysfunctional, and all that went along with it. And in the middle of all that, there were 4 fabulous kids who were quite affected by what was going on. And, so there was a lot of stuff went on that year. I had at the start of that year, I probably had a breakdown or a breakthrough or whatever you want to call it. To me, it was like completely devastation. And, but then I suppose, then you just start, little mad things started happening to me, and, things I couldn't explain. So I went from this sort of logical world to this. So I used to go up to, that's when I started walking. I used to go out walking, listening to Wayne Dyer on my earphones or whatever. And I'd walk Killiney Hill. I'd sit up on the hill and I'd roar crying for days. Like every day I'd go up, and because I felt that the poor ground up there could take me tears. Or I'd walk down to Neri Pier and I'd cry my way down the pier, and maybe I meet somebody and they might make me smile. And then it didn't seem so bad. So that's really where that came from then. So, but I had no confidence, and all I wanted was, I think I had started to listen to Louise Hay, and she was saying, oh, look in the mirror and tell yourself you're beautiful, or life loves you. And that's all great, but it's all bullshit as well when you're like hanging on to life. And all I wanted was confidence. I just wanted a voice that I could stand up for me and for the kids. And, and I didn't wish anybody harm, but that's what I wanted, was just confidence. So I wrote out this little affirmation: I am getting more confident every day. And I had it stuck everywhere on the steering wheel of the car. So I was brainwashing myself but it worked because
it's funny. It starts off as a lie.
Yeah,
doesn't it? It's
it does. Yeah,
this is a lie. I'm not confident. And people used to come to me to my practice. I said, "What would you like to get?" I want, tell me how to become confident. And I said, I have no idea, because that's not. You don't take 10 steps to confidence. No. It's always a side effect from some other process, and it's really, really fascinating. And again, you do start with the lie.
Yeah,
and say, okay, it's a lie, but I'm still going to say it, and until it becomes true. Tracy says, I don't know if you know Tracy Pollard, but she's already said hi to you earlier. She says, this resonates with me deeply. What a pathway, such courage, a journey of empowerment. That's from Gabriella. And yeah, I mean, it's a testimony to when you're in that place of despair and feeling, because you're incredibly talented, but there's no point you being talented until you recognize that, because self-esteem and self-confidence isn't there isn't a correlation between that and self-esteem or feeling value. You can be the most intelligent, the most blah, blah person in the world, and you just don't have any self-confidence. Rita McDonald says, "Oh, my dear friend Nolene, what an inspiration you are, and more so, the kindest, most empathic woman who gives of herself and time to those in need. She deserves all the wonderful gifts that landed. Nolene, I'm so proud of you. Thank you for your friendship support over these. How sweet." And Sean Clancy, you know, Sean, opening the door to your own power is such a scary experience. Love how you stepped into it. Absolutely. Jade says, "Yes, I love it. My first was every day blank is getting better and better." Yeah. Brilliant. So
it's them little, like the other one I say, and I still say it today, and even in classes, I'd often say it to the people in classes, because it's something I use myself, that if I'm feeling on top of the world, or whether I'm feeling not so much on top of the world and sitting on the sofa with my feet up and the telly on, that I am where I am, and that's okay. And I think, to me, that's like the best little sentence we have. Like, it doesn't matter where we are, that, you know, that wherever we are, that we're okay. Like,
and that's about living in the present.
Yeah.
Tracy says, "I'm 51 and just feel like I'm becoming my true self now." Well, that's how long it takes, Tracy.
Yeah, and I'm still learning my true self. So
you're always in the process of becoming, which I think is lovely, because if you've become, then it's time to leave. You've done the work,
and I still have lots of experiences I want to experience, so I'm not going anywhere just yet. So
brilliant. So you then moved you moved as a child to Dunleary, or you moved
No, when I got pregnant on Danielle, I was 20. And when Danielle's my eldest daughter, and when I got pregnant on Danielle, I had to move out. Well, I was asked to move out because I brought shame to the house. And so anyway, as you do, you move out. And so nobody talked to me for about 6 months, I'd say. It was good, the best part of 6 months.
How hard that was.
Yeah, and I still kept going up to the house hoping somebody would talk to me, but look, it didn't happen. And anyway, my nana was still alive then, and I remember it was my 21st birthday in December, and she rang up and she said, "I want to come to your flat." So my mom was bringing her, and she had bought me this little gold necklace and a gold bracelet to match, and she brought her up, and she went and she got it herself. So it wasn't as though she'd asked somebody else, she got it herself. And when Danielle was born, they were the best support I could have got. Now, I was still not living at home. I actually had to move into his mother's for the year, which was really tough because I didn't know her. And then, you know, but like life comes around and healing happens then. So when Danielle was 20, she became pregnant. And obviously I put my arms around her and thought it was the best thing ever. So it gave my mom an opportunity to nearly make amends then. She had a chance, you know, and it wasn't until she saw how I reacted with my daughter that she done the same then with Danielle, and she apologized to me. So sometimes, you know, sometimes you do get that where full circle, I think, happens, you know, and you know, and now, I mean, she has a great legacy, you know. So look, she didn't know, she only knew what she knew back then. So you know, that's the way it is. So
is your mother still alive?
No, she passed away in 2021, and she was an amazing lady. She had cancer for 24 years on and off.
Amazing.
She was told 10 years into cancer that she'd have a year left, and went on to live for another, I don't know, 13 years. Then when she stopped it, now it was pretty tough during COVID, I will tell you, because it was horrendous trying to get help and support, and I don't have support system there anyway. So, but when she decided no more treatment, which was the best decision ever, it was so funny because she was given 3 months then to live, and she lasted for a year after that. And she just, I remember up at the hospice, and the hospice doctor or nurse or whoever was talking to her when we were just going up to have a talk in the hospice in Harold's Cross, and they said to her, "So, like, how's your mental health, you know, and, you know, how are you worried about things, or do you have any worries?" And she says back to them, "Well, it's like this," she said, "I get up in the morning and I'll see what today brings me. I don't really think too far about tomorrow." And that's what got her to where she was today.
Absolutely. How old was she?
She was, I think she was 70. I don't know whether she was 74, 75. Yeah, she would, something like that anyway. So
when she died?
When she died, yeah.
Very young.
Yeah, she was, yeah.
My mother was 90. We celebrated her 90th birthday last weekend. Well, she was 90 on the 15th, but we had our 4th celebration on Saturday. On Friday night, I went to bed before she did.
Oh my God. I know I have an auntie who's just turned 12. They're twins. And she turned the auntie I would stay up in Dublin. And she'd be like my second mother nearly. But she turned 80 in January. And I swear to God, she's fitter than I am.
It's just brilliant. It's just brilliant. Oh, so people are saying, love how you choose to break the generational stigma. Well done. And Angela says, I started to listen to my own inner narrative. I listened to the book by Florence Scovel Sheen called The Game of Life and How to Play It. I have that book. She was an amazing lady in the 1920s, New York. She had to teach metaphysical studies in private. Thankfully, it's open now. Hi, Melanie from Canada. Yes, says Jade. I was wandering the world, and my mom called me with a diagnosis, so I came back to help, but all I could do was love her, and love will heal her. Well done. And I mean, often it's not something about what you do, it's about what you be.
Yeah.
Wow. So you went and did your graphic design, and then you did and then you did healing. So you do so many things.
Yeah, no, that's it. And I remember, actually, she's I won't say her name, but she is a teacher. But I remember one time she said to me, I'm a jack of all trades and a master of none. And I actually sort of took that on then, because then I'd be afraid then to say, oh, well, I'm actually a graphic designer, or I'm a poet, and I'm this, and I teach well-being, I teach photography. I was sort of not embracing all the parts of me, all because somebody had mentioned a little.
But that phrase, will somebody look it up? Jack of all trades, master of none, but far be it that than master of one.
Yeah.
And polymaths tend to be more successful than specialists. So polymath is what you are. Yeah. You have the graphic design, you have the healing, and then you have all the other stuff. Always better than master of one. Thank you, Jade. Yeah. So it's such a huge put down. But I was reading an article about polymaths, and the cartoonist Dilbert.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's an artist and a writer, and whoever wrote this article said he wasn't the best writer and the best artist, but he combined the two to be a cartoonist. And that's the polymath. You're drawing things from so many places to be creative. And that is really, really important. And Amy says, and I agree with you, there's so many wonderful things we can learn in this life. Who could choose just one thing? And remember, specialism is about knowing more and more about less and less.
Yeah.
And if you go to the doctor, you want to. People say, well, I need to see a specialist. No, you want somebody who can look at your whole body rather than, no, I'm just looking at your liver.
Yeah, that's it. Like, you want the whole deal. So
even if my treatment affects your heart, that's not my area. I'm only focusing on the liver. So, and then Sean Clancy, this is really sweet, Sean. The many arted skills of Lou still alive in you, Nolene.
Well, do you know, Sean, I was actually told that up in Eimear's by Nadine one time, coming up to Christmas after summer solstice, and I think somebody had just said that to me not that long before that, and she turned around and she said, Nolene, do you know the god Lou? And I said, oh sure, I've heard of him, method. And she said, well, Nolene, she said, when he knocked on the door, he had this gift and this gift and this gift, and they were all refused at the door. And now I'm probably getting the story wrong, but this is how I remember. And he said, but have you met somebody who has all those gifts in the one person?
And that's how he got it.
And that's how he got the name.
So it's Nolene Savildonach.
Yes,
Nolene, the many skilled one. Yeah. Gabriella says, in the human design system, there's a type called manifestor generator, aka people who express themselves on multiple avenues. They have to narrowing down is not healthy from right out. And Morgan says, funnily enough, I was struggling with this concept, jack of all trades today, so I'm just so happy to hear it. Yes, be savile done, which means be many skilled. Well done.
Yeah, I like that now. So now I embrace the poems, or I embrace the stories, or I embrace whatever else comes. I mean, to be honest, I open and I see what comes, and I go with whatever idea I get. I do go with it. Like, I don't know what the grand big plan is for me, but I don't need to know either. Who wants to know anyway? Should that take the fun out of the journey ahead?
Yeah, absolutely. Angel says the inspiration can come from different sources, and you become the vessel that they emerge from. It's often the way with Imas, the way Imas or Awen works. What an inspirational story, Nolene. Angela said, I had a very conversation with someone yesterday. I couldn't find myself as one size fits all title. I must look up polymath. Thank you, Eimear. Absolutely. So I think now is a good time because you blew me away. I mean, I have your books, but it's not just that you will come to a ceremony here because you remember this grove, and then you'll text me a poem you've written about what happened. Yeah. I'm going, how do you do this? I'm blown away. So would you like to share some of your work with us?
Yes, I'm gonna read the very first poem. As I said to you, I wrote a lot of poems down at Dunleary Sandy Cove, because that's where I walked, and I was just mesmerized by people, and nature is my biggest inspiration, probably for anybody, but nature is like my big canvas anyway. And so I love John O'Donoghue. And I read John O'Donoghue's Anam Cara because somebody told me to read it back in 2011, and I got the book and I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. And in one of his things, I don't even know where it was, he said about go to the sea and give the sea your troubles. And he said, as the waves go out, give your sea your worries. And I had a lot of worries back then. So then in 2016, I'm at a healing seminar in Spain, and we weren't supposed to have our phone. But I was sort of allowed to have my phone because I take a lot of photographs, and it's my way of staying in the moment, and it's a great way for your mental health, I think anyway. But that's where I got the first real poem, was down at the sea, because the sea talked back to me. Well, I believe the sea talked back to me.
Yeah, I get you.
Maybe it was fed up listening to all my worries for years that it thought I'll give her something back. So I'm going to read the very first poem that I really sort of downloaded or connected with. I don't know what way. They just arrive into my brain. So it's called The Sea. She is powerful. She is strong. She is wild and she is calm. She takes no prisoners. She holds many tales. She crashes and splashes. She feeds. She drinks. She gives and she takes. She shares her energy, constantly moving. She wipes away all she touches. She gives you a new blank canvas to create your dream. Give her your worries, your stresses, your troubles. She carries them away as she waves, as the waves come by. Send them to her, she takes them all. One by one, they disappear. Hear her, speak to her, feel her. She's always there. Hush now, listen. She has something to share.
Oh, that is beautiful. That is just so beautiful. Now that is just lovely. Somebody says, where can we hear your poems? I've put your website in. Yeah. So, I've said Watson. Sorry, delete that. It's. I've made a mistake. I put an M instead of an N. Sorry. You're NoleneWatson.com.
Yeah, W-A-T, yeah.
I better put WW just so that we know that. Okay, sorry about Watson. Sorry about that. So Watson. So are your books available?
They're available online, yeah. They're on my website now. The first one, this is the first one, and Walking it's called Walking Likely. So I came up with Walk. So every poem uplifts you, and it has a message. So my good friend in Galway, her mother has a copy of my book, and her mother made my day, because her mother said to me when I met her, she said, Nolene, I take your book out every day and I open up a page just to hear what Nolene has to say to me for today. So they have lovely little messages in them. So they're quite uplifting. And that was the first one. The second book I wrote was to do with my mom, to be honest, because we were watching a movie at Christmas. So she used to come down to my house for a bit of respite. And the first time she came down, oh my God, we put like Conversations with God on with Morgan Freeman. And the first thing was all about death. And she says, Nolan, can we just watch Disney or something? Because she said, I don't really want to be watching about death, you know. So anyway, we were watching a movie. I think it's called Christmas on the Corner or something like that, with Dolly Parton in it. It was an absolute beautiful movie, a bit corny, but the songs in it were just what heal your soul. Yeah. And in it, she talks about being the light bearer, and she talks about being shining brightly. And I thought, I'm going to call the book Shining Brightly, because the book was for me mom for her birthday, because it would have been the last birthday that she was alive for. And I wanted her to have something that because a woman in her 70s has everything she needs, you know. So I wanted something that was for her. So I made the book for her. And this one's called Shine Brightly. So anyway, so in the book, there's all different poems in the book. But there's one I'd love to share, and it was the one I wrote for my mom, actually. So my mom was a great knitter. And when the cancer came back in 2011 into her liver, she had to give up the cigarettes because they wouldn't do the operation. So she went to vaping, which is whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, but she went to vaping and she went back knitting. So she was knitting matinee coats and cardigans and hats and all sorts. And I said to her one day, I said, God, Mom, you could knit me a healing blanket. I said, imagine now if we had a big 6-foot man on the healing table, and we were trying to measure it. So she started knitting healing blankets, and each blanket would have 40 squares in it, and everyone would have a different stitch. So she went on to knit, and then she'd crochet the whole way around it, like as if she was sealing it in. And then she was talking about how they were real earth colors, and she was making up her own stories about her own blankets. And her blankets even went to Australia. Some poor man in Australia had fallen from a 7-story or 5th-story building. Wow. And he had to get both his legs amputated. Now, I don't know how my mom heard about it, but anyway, somehow one of her blankets was sent over to him. And he sent her back a photograph of himself and his 2 or 3 children. And because they were all the same height, he said, look, and he made a joke saying we can all fit under the one way, like, because he had no legs. So, you know, so anyway, so this is the poem I wrote about her. So her one is called The Knitter. So knit one, purl one, clickety click, the woman who knits. Each stitch brings another one. She's always focused. Patience she has in abundance. What will she create next? A hat, a scarf, a matinee coat. The creation that beats all others is the 40 squares of divine love that make up a multicolored blanket. Each day brings a square, many colors, many stitches, unconditional love. Sort them out, stitch them together like life's jigsaw puzzle. Feel the energy, soak in the love, and allow the healing. For you see, it is God and his angels guiding every stitch. So knit one, purl one, clickety click. The woman who knits, masterpieces made from wool, each unique, one of a kind, just like her. Knit one, purl one, clickety click. My ma'am, the woman who knits.
Oh, I bet you she was thrilled with that. That is so lovely.
She was actually. She was, yeah.
So you said so early in the days you were going down Dunleary Pier or Killiney Hill. So now that you're living in Wicklow, and I suppose you don't cry anymore, I'm joking. Where do you go? So when you're looking for your MS, are you like walking in the woods, for example, or do you sit down either in front of a computer or with a piece of paper and start writing? Or how does it come to you in terms of your process?
It's funny actually. The only time it's ever come to me with a pen and paper is if I went to a creative writing circle. Um, normally, normally it's the phone. I sit there and type it out on the phone,
Gosh.
and and I'm not joking with you. My phone can't keep up with the speed of my fingers, and sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night. Something could have happened that day, and I wake up in the middle of the night and I've written a poem, and I go back to sleep and I have no recollection that I've written a poem till I go back in to my notes. I have a like a Microsoft Notes thing
Yeah.
on my phone, so everything's backed up. And so that's the way it works. Or if I'm up at Eimear's, or if I'm up at also go to the Fellowship of Isis, to the temple, and or I could have to go off because it just won't. If it's there in my head, I have to get out of my head, or otherwise it's gone. And and so it's not necessarily I have a pen and paper. I've written 11,000 words of a story on my phone, and
The mind boggles.
so when people.
So you're telling me that you would write in the middle of the night and then wake up the next morning with no memory of that?
No memory. No.
Wow.
And then sometimes my cousin one time said to me, would I write a poem for her father-in-law? He was turning 70, and that was my first time really writing a poem about somebody. I didn't even know the person. And I said, oh, you'll have to tell me a few things about him or something. And anyway, I wrote a poem. I was out walking, I wrote a poem about him, and I sent it off to her. And then because I have the graphic design, I was able to make the poem and a graphic. So it really looked well in a frame. And I met him, I think it was maybe the year later or something. And he said he wanted to meet the lady who wrote the poem. And when he met me, he said, hello, he said, you're the poet lady. And I thought to myself, what a lovely way to describe me. I'm the poet lady. So they just arrive, like they just happen. One time a few years back, I was having a massage, and I had an experience on the massage table. I had to pull in on the motorway to write out, and that was 5 pages. When I printed it out, there was 5 pages in that, and that was all typed out on my phone.
Oh, I couldn't do that on the phone. So you're 2 thumbs, is it?
Yeah, like it's just honest to God. Yeah.
Wow.
The phone doesn't keep up with me, and I could be out with people, like it and it could be absolutely anything. The poems could be anything from when I went on the hens weekend with my daughter to her getting married, or when the kids or the grandkids were born. Like, so they're different. They just come, and I was asked to write a poem for the fellowship, and now that's more of a story, I think, than a poem. And but I love them. I just it's like I don't know, like I don't know what's the word. Like I'm an observer of life, and I see things that not everybody else sees. Maybe I'm just nosy. That could be it. So
I think you are an observer. You're very present and still and observing. That is just, I'm blown away. Anne has a question, and of course we haven't asked, is how did you come to Obod?
Oh, so I started going, sort of indirectly from my friend Anita. I was told about, I'd met Alwyn back in 2011 through a mutual friend, and she was telling me all about the fellowship, and she was telling me all about
this is the Fellowship of Isis.
Yeah. And anyway, but obviously I was in Dublin, so that could have been Timbuktu for all I knew at that time. And plus I had all the other stuff to do in the meantime. And then I was bored here one Sunday. Actually, I was feeling sorry for myself. I think it was 2019, and I was lonely here one Sunday, and the kids were gone and they're grown up or whatever. And I went to Huntington Castle. So I done the tour. And next of all, I'm down in, now I don't spoil it, but when you go down into the basement, if you ever come to Ireland or go and visit Huntington Castle, it's worth the visit. So anyway, go down into the basement, and I kept saying, oh my God, this is the place I was told about.
The temple.
And then, so then I was, a couple of years later, then I joined the women's group for myself now in Gorey, and I met Anita. And Anita then told me about, well, she said, so I went up with Anita, and then I was going there, and then I met Eimear. And then I said to Coach one day in the train, I said, do you think Eimear might let us go to hers? Like, because they're the only two things that I do, is because I just wanted simplicity. And to me, you can't get any more simple than walking in reverence in nature and just being with yourself and good people. You can't beat that in all the things in life. And so when I rang Eimear up, Eimear rang back and said, and who's this? And I said, oh, it's Nolene. And she went, oh, Nolene who? And I said, Nolene with the pink hair, because she didn't know. But as soon as I said the pink hair and Anita had the red hair, sure, we were sorted. But I have been going there now since, I don't know, 3 years now. Yeah. I love it. I've only missed, I think, 2 of them. And I just, it's the people. Well, of course, Eimear, but it's the people and the community. And you could go up there and, you know, one day you may be up there and you may be in tears, and you'll be held and you'll be respected. And, you know, I didn't experience that in my life. So being around people like that and people who have no agenda is, to me, that's worth its weight in gold. You can't buy that. So that's what it means to me.
So when did you join OBOD then? Because you were coming here before you joined the order. So.
Yeah, only about, it was about 6 months and then I joined it. So so then it was complementing the stuff then I was doing, because I was ordained then as a priestess in the Fellowship of Isis in November, actually, yes, that one. So I think like there's other little pieces coming together, you know. So yeah, so I think it's amazing. And I just think simplicity. And even up at Eimear's, the last time we had, Eimear was showing me, I had to say which was the tree now, but I had taken this wonderful photograph of the alder tree. And I'm not joking, it's a photograph and you just see this light beam. And I know it's the sun coming down, but it just highlights this, you know. And like, if you're a lot going on in your head, or maybe you're not in a great place, you may miss things like that.
That's right.
But when you see them, you can't unsee them. And that to me is the pure simplicity of life. And I genuinely can say that from where I've come in my life. And I hugged many trees. I sat and cried to many trees and talked to trees, and you know, even rivers and whatever peace you have. I mean, I can look out. I live in the best of both worlds, in a town, but yet in the country. But I can look out my back wall and there's cows over the back wall.
Oh, you know, beautiful.
And it's fabulous. Like,
oh, just lovely. Because that was like the Awen, wasn't it? Coming from the sun on that.
Sun, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful.
It was beautiful, yeah.
So before we get on to, so you're a poet, you're a photographer, you're a graphic artist, and then I know you do, because this is an expression you used earlier, before we came out live, you do wellness, you practice wellness in a quirky way. Tell us what that means.
So I when I was 2016 and I was seeing this career coach, and anyway, the lady that was in the local employment office said to me, she looked at my CV and she said, oh my God, no. And she said, she saw all the, you know, all the Reiki stuff and all that. And she saw all the graphic design, all the other stuff. And she said, I think you should do train the trainer. She said, I think you need to go back into your community. And I was saying, all right. Now, like, I'm saying, well, will that pay me? Like, because I had no money, like I needed an income. So anyway, I got my first chance. I worked with the Women's Collective of Ireland in Loughlinstown, and I was on the CE scheme. And I asked Sharon, could I put together a course? So she said, of course you can now, Nolan, but there's a few little ground rules. You're not there to counsel anybody. You're only there, you know, if anybody needs extra help, you just send them to my way. And I thought I could do that. So I started doing the first course that I ever done, which I designed. All the courses I have, they're all my own courses and my own life experience. So the first one I had was the Toolbox for Life, was the name of the class. And for the first 3 weeks, I never even told the ladies my name. I never even said my name, because I I just didn't know what to do, to be honest. And then it went from that. And then I just started telling stories about maybe different things in my life. And even though some of the stories, if you were to really look at them, they're probably a bit harrowing or horrific or nightmarish, but you can always twist them and you can always say, life has given me plenty of experiences that has turned the most mundane thing into a funny story. And it doesn't matter whether I've ended up in hospital having an operation, something funny happened, or whether I was, one time I was getting diesel in the petrol station in Carnew, and I had so much fun that week in classes. I laughed. And if I'm laughing, then everybody around me is laughing. So this man said to me, he said, I'll put your diesel in the car for you. And I said, no, me being the independent woman, I said, no, you're all right, I can do it. And he said, but sure, I have the gloves on. So I said, sure, why not then? So I went in and paid for it, and I came out and he said, so what do you do? And I said, well, you know what? That's a really hard question for me to answer. And I said to him, I'm a wellness comedian. And he said, you're a what? And I said to him, a wellness comedian. And he says, I never heard of one of them. And I said, no, I've just made it up, I said. And he said, so what do you do? And I said, I tell funny stories that have a lot of learning in them, but make people laugh. And I believe that great healing happens when you can laugh. Mm-hmm. I really do believe that. And, and I've had I meet amazing people in my classes that give me great stories as well as listen to mine. And sometimes they hear the story, it could be 20 times, and they might say, oh, we've heard this story already, but you'll always hear something different in it.
That's right.
And, and that's what I do because, I believe that life is very, very serious and can be very serious. And the work like wellness or well-being, or if people feel a little bit better leaving the door than they came into my class, that's my job done. I'm not there to fix anybody. I'm not there. I can just about fix myself. But if I can bring a smile and give somebody to think about, and maybe they're at my expense, it doesn't bother me, and that's the way it works,
So you do the wellness one, and then, which is kind of personal development. Do you teach photography? Do you teach graphic design?
I teach basic photography, so digital photography, normally on smartphones, so people don't have to go out and buy expensive cameras. But I also bring in the well-being part of that into photography, because to me, the two things that kept me alive for probably 5 years or so was walking and taking photographs. Because for me, there's a lot of bad press about mobile phones and technology, but there's also, you can use it for your benefit. Like if you have your phone, like if you think about it, a phone is this, but if you have a big camera with you, you're most likely have a phone with you than you will have a big camera with you.
Yeah.
And a photograph tells a story. And especially when I do the class on portrait or selfie, and a lot of women haven't taken selfies. Now they get a great kick out of the beauty filter on the phone, like where they end up with porcelain skin, but we have great fun with it. And like I still have had loads of ladies send me in selfie photographs, and that's for their self-confidence. It's not for anybody else, it's for them. And it's just to build that they have skills that maybe it could be something as simple as turn your phone upside down to take a photograph. It doesn't, but definitely when you're teaching photography, I think it opens your eyes to see the world. You become a tourist in your own place. You don't have to go away.
It's really interesting how you're using the phone rather than it using you.
Yeah.
To open up doors in your own life, to find expression or discover something within. I think that's really, really interesting way of you. Well, obviously looking at it, but using it, because so many of us take photographs. And when I'm walking in the woods now, I'll have my camera with. I do it to record songs. Or to take photographs, but I never listen. I always listen to nature, so I never plug myself in. But it's lovely. What Morgan says, something I keep hearing, the best camera is the one you have with you. Love that you're teaching smartphone photography. It's such an underrated skill. Gabriella says, I very much agree. There's an excess of focus on optometry in photography. I appreciate much more the storytelling, composition, artistry in a photo. Interesting. I was in a women's art group years ago, and we did our first facilitator, Gypsy Ray. She's since passed. She was a brilliant photographer. So this is, she had an SLR, and it wasn't digital. It's back in the day, okay? And you go out with the camera and you take a roll of stuff. And I don't remember back, with when we had the Instamatic camera or whatever those things, before digital anyway. And, you get your pack of 36 and you get them all back, and it's ceilings and it's a bit of the sky and someone's thumb.
Yeah.
And, awful mistakes. You think, oh my God, I'm absolutely hopeless. We got those and used them to create something.
Yeah.
It isn't just about, having the perfect shot, the perfect landscape, or the perfect portrait, but it's like, no, let's use this. Do you see the mistake here? Do you see there's what you maybe call an orb, or something is overexposed? Now let's use that for some creative process. And I thought just lovely to, I thought brilliant. I just thought wonderful.
But there's a lot of people that don't get into photographs. And like, I would have been one of them. I didn't get into photographs. I didn't like my body or any of that, body confidence or anything like that. And a woman said to me, it must have been 2008. Now, I would have been in tough circumstances and depression and all sorts of stuff. And she said to me, but now, Lynn, if you never get into photographs and you're no longer here, how will people remember you visually? And that really stayed with me. And, and it's so true that it doesn't matter really at the end of the day what you look like. It just matters that you turn up and you're there. So, and even in the books, when I made the 2 books, the first book, there's a little typo in it. And I remember being at an angel meditation evening that I used to go to. Somebody spotted it in the book, and I hadn't even had the book launch. And I mean, from where I came to have my own book, and then somebody spotting an error, I was disgusted with it, and I wouldn't push it. And anyway, so when it came to doing the second book, I purposely done this. I put a page upside down.
Oh, brilliant.
And I put a page upside down because, the way I look at it is everybody's entitled to make a mistake. And if I put a purpose mistake into it, well, then who can tell me that I'm not allowed to make a mistake? So anyway, that's my thing.
That is brilliant. It's interesting. That was a deliberate mistake. Often that can be quite a derogatory sentence. And if it's deliberate, it isn't a mistake. And that's what's lovely. It's like taking ownership of your own book and how you present it. That is just beautiful.
So it's like I created my own set of oracle cards last summer. And, I'm not saying that I'm an artist. I dabble at watercolors. I did, when I was in college doing graphic design, I did go on the hop from art class. Imagine being a grown woman in your 40s being called into the office, being told that you have to do the art, or I was going to fail. And the class I was in, it was in a college for people with disabilities. And I qualified because I had chronic pain and I had chronic depression. So that's how I qualified to be there. But I had to go to the art class. And the first day we're in there and they're drawn with Indian ink, and I'm sitting there going, oh my God, what am I supposed to draw? I had to draw a geisha girl, which I did draw, and I'm very proud of my geisha girl. So I went on then to draw some other watercolors and things like that. But last year I created my own oracle cards. So there were things, say, that I couldn't paint. And I painted all the backgrounds. Some of the images I did paint. And then some of them, whatever I couldn't paint, or I felt I didn't have the skill to paint them, I would create them on the computer because I had the skills of with Illustrator or with Photoshop. So I could create images and I could, do things like that. So that's how I done them. So so these are the original sets.
Lovely.
So they're that big. So I painted them, and then I used paper collage. And on the back of them, now in the original set, each card has a poem done in a spiral. Because I love spirals. I love spirals. So that's what I done with creating them. And then when it came to printing them, I still have to source Anyway, I did get them printed. But when they printed, they don't look like they're paper collage. They look like I've painted them all. They are combined of paper collage and what I done was, I love cards. I love oracle cards. I love angel cards, and just my thing. I just feel they just give you a nice little message. The only messages I don't like is when they say detox or nutrition or something like that. But anyway, all the other ones I love. Anyway, so these are them printed now. They're small round cards. Brilliant. And what I done was, to help people, I put little words on them. But there's not necessary. You can download a book to go with the cards. But I wanted people to look at the cards and see what the image meant to them without going to a book first.
Yeah.
Because like me, you can get too dependent on the book, and then you forget then what nature has to tell you, or what you can see with your inner eyes, you know. So the words on this, so again, somebody at a class said to me, "Oh, you made the words very small. Can you not make them bigger?" But that was the whole idea of the word. So I seem to meet the odd critical person in my path, but you know, it is, you just have to go with like in 1 week, in 2 weeks, I made 33 cards.
Wow.
I just couldn't stop. And my granddaughter, who's 8 years of age, she made the card I called the child, because I wanted a card to represent our inner child, because I don't ever want to grow up now that I found freedom. Never growing up. No. Who wants to grow up?
A child with the bank account, you know.
That's it, yeah.
And that's lovely. Sean says, we could easily title this fireside chat as Jack of all trades, master of life. So many wonderful facets. And Angel says, wow, I love the poems written in a spiral with a message on these cards. Now, before we finish, because we're almost at the hour, how has Druidry, or joining the order, or being a Druid on this path, on the Bardic, I don't know what grade you're on, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But what impact has that had on your life?
That I see things that I didn't see before. Even I'm doing the at the Bard level, which is like poems, or like it's like it was. I think maybe I was born a bard and I didn't realize. But I suppose it's listening to, when I go up to Eimear's and I'm standing in the circle and I'm listening to stories, and sure, I even had to play a part in one of the stories last year.
And you ad-libbed.
And I did. And when I went up there that day, I was sick as a dog when Eimear said, but I didn't want to say no, because I just said yes. And anyway, I don't think I could have said no anyway. So for me, I suppose Druidry has given me an insight into what's possible, you know, and just about life. It's about just life. It's not about another little piece of paper or another certificate or another. It's just about how to live life. And, you know, I can go now and I can stand at an oak tree, and not that I always knew what an oak tree was, but last year, just before my ordination, I had a journey. I went on a journey and I saw this great oak tree, and I saw these acorns spread all over the ground in the journey, in the meditation. And then a week later, I'm off walking up on a walk with a friend of mine, and the whole ground was covered in acorns. So it's like, you know, even we came home from Eimear ceremony the last Sunday, and my friend Anita was driving, and we got lost. Now, she'd probably blame me and tell me I was talking too much, which it could have been. But anyway, we got lost and we ended up a mountain. So we weren't technically lost. And then Anita says to me, now, what do you think the mountain has to teach us? And I start laughing, and I said, oh, that's a really good one, Anita. I said, I'm reading a book at the moment called The Mountain Is You. So was that like a little coincidence? I don't know. Or synchronicity. Maybe that's what it is. Life is teaching me synchronicities.
Wow. That's so lovely. And Angel says, finding this path like coming home. So many people say that. I think I've always had the interest, but I needed to be ready. It only took 50 years to get there. Now on the Bardi course, you know what? It's all about the right time. I mean, sometimes people say, oh, we need to get more young people in. It's like, people will come when they're ready.
Yeah.
We have young members. But we also have a lot of silver people and the odd pink-haired and red-haired person. But it's always, you say it only took 50 years, but that's what the whole process is. It takes its own time. And hopefully we live long enough to enjoy the coming into being or the homecoming that you have, once you find something like Obod or Druidry.
But I listen to my grandkids, and Luke is 12 now on Monday, and Molly's 8, and they're able to tell me now, even though I know, like we were driving home from their house yesterday, they live in Ballyedmond, so we were driving through the countryside or whatever, and I said, oh, look at that, do you know what that is? And Luke says to me, oh, that's blackthorn. So there's, to me, there's Druidry in real life practice. They live with it, like they have chickens and goats and ponies, and oh my God, it's just mayhem. But I mean, they know what gorse is. They know what they have 3 beautiful silver birch trees in the right outside their garden, in their garden. So they're grown up with that. So who's to say they'll find the path to Druidry, but they're already on the path because they're already connected with it.
It's about, it's wonderful that they're connected. I know, Gabriella, you're young. Don't worry. I'm young. I'm 37 on the inside. So anyway, but never mind. I love being old as well. It's brilliant because it's just, there's so much freedom being an old one. But and I suppose it's that I grew up in a rural area. So on both sides, grandparents, farms, cattle, chickens, turkeys, cows being milked by hand, my aunt making butter, separating the cream, and cleaning the eggs to take them to the market. Those kind of, I grew up with all of that. Not now, I'm in the rural area, but I did make a thing today now. It's called Jankak's porridge. I was at a talk on herbal cures locally with a wonderful woman called Moira Brennan. She runs the Acorn Project, not far from here in Kilkenny, and so she had this what's called Jankak's porridge. So Jankak, it's a story I tell actually. He's the father of medicine in Ireland, and he was the king or the healer for the Tuatha Dé Danann. And it was a long story about him, but I don't want to go into that now. But this was oats with nettles, dandelion, both flowers and leaves, wood sorrel, chickweed, which I don't have in my garden, nettles, and the tops, the hazel shoots, with honey. And she had apple juice. I didn't have apple juice. And I made it. And it's like a flapjack, but it's known as, because it has those herbs in it. And there's a place called Lusma, that means the plain of the herbs, and it's near where I come from. Wow. And it's where Jankak and his 2 children, Arma and Miak, gathered all the known herbs in Ireland and put them in the well of healing, Tubersláine, and that in battle, anyone who was fatally wounded or seriously wounded, as long as their head wasn't severed, if they were put into that.
For full to be restored. Yeah. So
I've met the woman on whose land that is, and I'm hoping in the next few months to go and visit her and be there. Just wonderful to see this. Yes, it is baked, Nimi. It's like a flapjack essentially, but what you're doing is with your oats, and I'm off dairy at the moment, so I couldn't put butter in, so I put coconut oil in it, and honey or maple syrup or whatever you want to sweeten it with. And then those herbs, you just chop up the herbs and put them all in, and then you bake it just like you would what we call a flapjack. You're English, aren't you? Yeah, you know what a flapjack is. Flapjacks in America are different to flapjacks on this side of the Atlantic. So, yeah, and it's just lovely. Do give it a try tomorrow. And of course, Jankak's porridge. So. Yeah, so it's oats. And I don't know where you may find it. I don't know. It's just that was no, it's a different Moira Brennan. So you should look her up because she is an amazing woman. She's a food forager. She's planting oak trees on her land. Just well worth, and just a lovely person too. So anyway, it was just lovely that I meant to ask her where she got the recipe. So Michelle said I had the honour of being a class with Maura. She was almost qualified when I was beginning medical herbalism. I learned so much from her. That is brilliant. Wonderful to hear that. So so that was just lovely. And I've been making I gathered some beeswax from my hive. I had a little bit and I cleaned it, and then I'm making those wraps, wax wraps with cotton.
Oh, yeah.
It's a much cheaper way because they're quite expensive. So I've done two. So so it's that lovely being out there, and I don't know why I started this, but just lovely being out, just doing simple things. I get such a out of it. And now things are coming up. The cleavers are out there, very good to detox. The dandelions are out, the nettles are coming up, and it's just.
I know down in Courtown Woods now you'll have the wild garlic if it's not already there, and as soon as you go near Courtown,
you get it. Yes.
Oh, it's just blows you away.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'm on a hill, but I did plant some, and it's underneath a roof that drains, so it kind of keeps it moist enough for it. But yes, the ramsons are absolutely lovely. So time to make your ramson pesto. So just beautiful. Nolene, it has been such a joy. We've gone over our hour, but we cannot end without another poem.
All right. Well, then I'm going to read a poem that I wrote after being up at Eimear.
Okay. Is that the recent one on the equinox? Or is it Imo?
No, I think it's the summer. I think it's the winter solstice.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, it's called The Night the Light Was Shared. Oh. There is something magical watching the flame of a candle twinkle in the darkness while I walk the path of light. The longest night with the quiet hope that each night now will grow a little brighter. The sun rebirthing for the year ahead, lighting a candle deep within us and Mother Earth. We stood in silence, in darkness, cold stones holding ancient wisdom, the wet ground underfoot supporting us as she always does. Ceremonies and rituals, circles cast, peace to the corners of the world, in bass chanted, healing prayers, and moments of grief shared and surrendered. A cold breath in, an exhale of frosty air, stars bright overhead, candles lit one by one, a sharing of more than just a flame. Within moments, the temple of Ankalyak was full of light. Warm shadows dancing around the stone walls, songs echoing, ancient and alive. Hope, love, peace, and warmth. Returning to ourselves, remembering the land, standing in reverence of a new day sun. And that was the winter solstice. Last, 2025.
That's just beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I do you have a favorite? I mean, I used to ask this question. Do you have a favorite ceremony for the Wheel of the Year?
For the Wheel of the Year, I think I love Samhain. I do love Samhain. I love the spookiness of it. I love that you just can't make things up and things have a habit of just happening without you even, and you have to nearly blink twice, otherwise you think you've seen something and you haven't seen something. I love the magic that that in between time. I have to say now, I love that. And plus, anyway, I had a neighbour when he was up in Dublin, and he used to shout down the road. He said, "It's the time for your witch's hat, Nolene," and that was before any of this. So God only knows what he'd be thinking now, but who cares? But I do. I love Samhain, I have to say now. Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people say they like Samhain. I like the one I'm in.
Yeah.
But then, just as you read your poem there, I just love that ceremony being in the dark.
Yeah.
And that stillness. And then we light the light and then
And we
share.
do. And all the shadows, I remember them as clear as day. They were all shadows. And yeah, I know they're shadows of us, but who knows? But they were dancing, and the room, like, even though, like, the room was full of human people, but it felt overrun with spirits that time.
Well, it's an old,
yeah.
You know, it's a 13th century. No, it's 15th century. The chapel, the other temple is 13th century. So it is lovely. Just it is, and you know, the stone, I think, has a resonance and it carries memories. It's just beautiful. There's some lovely.
I remember the first time, actually, I know we have to go, but the first time I was up there and I had taken a photograph of, I don't know, was she visiting, a lady was visiting you from, I think that could have been the summer solstice. Was the first time I was up at yours. And she was walking
from New Zealand.
Yes, and she was walking out the door, and when I took the photo, the whole doorway was green. All you could see was green. Like, it was like she was walking into a tunnel of green energy. Like, it was amazing.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So Nimi says, I've loved this chat. Nolene, you're a creative whirlwind. It's been inspiring to hear you, and your oracle cards are lovely. So I just thank you. It's been such a joy talking to you. So just I'll let you say goodnight to everybody there.
So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And I have loved being here and chatting away to Eimear. So look forward to maybe meeting you in person or seeing you again on Facebook or whatever. Thank you again.
So I'll let you go to the green room. Don't go anywhere. Yep. Don't, as I say, don't hang up. So thank you all for joining us and your comments, and just, I suppose we're still kind of equinoxy. Angel said, I love sound, but also love the light, growth and beauty of Bealtaine, which would be our next one. So, and for those OBOD members, those who are going to the summer gathering, and the tickets go on sale at 8:00 UK time on Monday. So thank you for tuning in, and I won't be here. I think we've got the storytelling circle next week. So, oh no, I will be here. I'll see you next week for another chat, and look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, all be well, and slán go fóill. Oh, good afternoon, good morning, good night, and if you're watching a recording of this, and blessings to you all. So slán.